Okay, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about one of the most overlooked, but honestly, one of the most powerful factors when it comes to your hormonal and reproductive health, and that's stress. We live in a world that just demands more and more from us. And while our minds might feel like they're adapting, our bodies, well, they're often paying a hidden price. So today we're going to break down exactly what is happening inside your body when stress stops being a temporary thing and becomes chronic.
Oh man, if you have ever been on the receiving end of this little piece of advice, you know how incredibly frustrating it is, right? It just feels so dismissive and it completely ignores the very real physical things that are happening inside you. It might be well-intentioned, but let's be real, it is not helpful. So we're going to get past the platitudes and look at what's actually going on.
Because here's the thing, there is a scientific answer. It's not just some feeling or a mindset you can just switch off. Stress actually triggers this whole cascade of physiological events that can directly, and I mean directly, interfere with your hormones. And understanding this, well, that's the key to taking back control.
So to really get what's going on, we have to look at the brain. Specifically, this tiny but incredibly powerful region called the hypothalamus. I want you to think of it as the central command station for two really critical, and sometimes competing, systems in your body.
Now, what's really wild is that both of these major systems start in the exact same place. So on one hand, you've got the HPO axis, that's your reproductive system. The hypothalamus tells the pituitary gland to then signal your ovaries. It's basically the make a baby system. But on the other hand, you've got the HPA axis, your stress response system. The hypothalamus tells the pituitary to signal your adrenal glands. This is your survive a threat system. You see, they're not separate, they rely on the exact same network. And that right there is where the problem starts, because your brain has to decide which one gets priority.
So when push comes to shove and resources are limited, that central command station in your brain has to make a choice. Is it time to reproduce, or is it time to just survive? And to understand how it makes that call, we kind of have to think like our ancient ancestors.
Evolutionarily speaking, our bodies are designed to handle two main types of threats, and they trigger very, very different responses. Think about it like this. The difference between seeing a bear right in front of you versus living through a long, hard famine. So picture this. You see a bear. That's what we call an acute stressor. Your body's number one priority is immediate survival. It floods your bloodstream with glucose, that's quick energy, and it diverts all resources away from things you just don't need in that second, like digesting your lunch or ovulating. Your only job is to run from that bear.
But a famine, well, that's a chronic stressor. The threat isn't right in your face. It's constant. It's long-term. The priority here isn't to run. It's to survive until things get better. So the brain says, hey, conditions are not good right now. This is not a safe time to support a pregnancy. And the hypothalamus makes an executive decision to shut down that HPO axis, conserving energy and preventing ovulation until the famine is over.
And here it is. This is the absolute kicker for our modern lives. That stressful email from your boss, the argument you had with your mom, a scary diagnosis. These are all tiny little bear moments that trigger that acute glucose dump. But when they happen day after day after day, they create a famine environment. So your body is getting the signal to run from a bear and endure a famine all at the same time. And that, my friends, creates total chaos.
This constant state of emergency, it leads to two huge problems downstream: chronic inflammation and insulin resistance. And these are not just buzzwords. They are real physiological states that are silently sabotaging your health at a cellular level.
Okay, to make this super simple, let's use an analogy. Think of insulin as a salesman, okay? And he's knocking on your cell's door to deliver a package of glucose for energy. Normally, the cell is happy to see him, opens the door, takes the package. But when stress keeps dumping glucose into your blood, that salesman starts knocking, constantly, all day, all night. Knock, knock, knock. Eventually, your cells just get annoyed. They stop answering the door as readily. And that is insulin resistance. Your body needs to send more and more insulin, more salesmen, just to get the same job done.
Now, the key thing to remember here is that this is not an on-off light switch. Your body doesn't just suddenly shut down. It's a gradual process, more like a dimmer switch that's slowly being turned down. You might not stop ovulating entirely at first, but you'll start to see warning signs, like your luteal phase, that's the second half of your cycle, getting shorter than 11 days. That's one of the very first red flags that your brain is starting to deprioritize reproduction. And look, this isn't just theory. This has real-world consequences. A major study in the journal Human Reproduction looked at couples trying to conceive and found that the women with higher markers for stress had a 29% lower chance of getting pregnant each month. 29%! This is not just in your head, it's in your biology.
Okay, that was the problem. It's heavy, I know. But understanding the why is what empowers us to build a how. So now, let's talk about the good stuff, the action plan. How do we fight this invisible bear that feels like it's chasing us all day long?
The goal here is not to create some magical, stress-free life. I mean, come on, that's impossible. The real goal is to flip your mindset. Instead of just reacting when you're totally overwhelmed, you're going to build a system to proactively manage your body's response to stress. You need a plan for prevention and a plan for the moment it actually hits.
Okay, so part 1 is your daily defense. Every single day, you need to carve out just 20 minutes to intentionally lower your cortisol levels. This gives yourselves a break from that constant salesman knocking, you know? The specific activity doesn't matter as much as the feeling it gives you, that sense of, that release. Whether it's a morning walk outside, journaling, breath work, whatever it is, the goal is consistency. Find what works for you and make it absolutely non-negotiable.
Then there's part 2, your rapid response team. When that bad email lands or you get out of a really terrible meeting, I want you to remember the bear analogy. Your body just dumped a bunch of fuel into your bloodstream. So what do? You use it. Go for a quick, brisk walk. Close your office door and do 20 squats. Move your body. You have to complete the stress cycle, just like you would if you were actually running from a real bear.
And this is so critical. We have to be able to tell the difference between coping mechanisms that actually help and ones that harm. You know, reaching for processed comfort foods or saying, I deserve a glass of wine, might feel good in the moment, but they can actually add more sugar and inflammation to the fire, which just makes the underlying problem worse. In contrast, things like movement and breath work actively help your body get back to balance. And finally, let's talk about the 2 non-negotiable pillars of this entire plan. First, sleep. I want you to think of sleep as your body's nightly cleanup crew. It's when it clears out all the inflammation from the day. And second, strength training. This is a hormonal health superpower. Why? Get this. Skeletal muscle can actually pull glucose out of your bloodstream without needing insulin. It's like giving your cells a master key, completely bypassing that tired, annoying salesman at the door.
So here's the bottom line. You can't get rid of stress. It's just a part of modern life. But you are not powerless against it, not at all. You can reframe your relationship with it, and by understanding what's happening on a cellular level, you can make active, powerful choices to build a more resilient body.
So you have the framework now. You understand the bear and the famine. You know all about the salesman at the door, and you have a plan for daily prevention and in-the-moment coping. The only question left is, what is the one small step you can take right after this is over to start fighting back against that invisible bear?